Alright guys, just a real quick tutorial on how to change your oil on your Cadillac XT6. This is part of the how to change like your cabin air filter, your engine air filter, and now your oil. So if we do all of these, we could definitely save a few $100s from going to the dealer, and then we can really brag to the wife about how much we've done and how much we've saved, so we can go ahead and continue to justify spending money on more tools, more golf equipment, more whatever you want to spend your money on. So to get started, I like to open my oil cap, so that way this will allow the air to go down through here as we drain the oil. Just allows the oil to drain a little bit quicker. And so if you don't happen to have a jack or jack stands, you can do this laying on the ground without any jacks or jack stands. It's just a little bit more difficult, but what you will need to do this is you will need something to catch your oil. You will need a 5/8 socket, and you will need something to remove your oil filter with. For me, I have one of these adjustable ones, so that what it does is it fits a wide range. You just simply tighten or loosen, and the spring will open up and it'll clamp down. So I can put a link in the description for the ones that I'm currently using, and we'll get started. Okay, like I previously stated, this job will be easier for sure if you have a jack and want to jack it up. But for today's purposes, I just want to demonstrate that it can be done just by simply laying under the front of the car here with it all down without being jacked up, so that anybody can do it. Now, you could also use your bottle jack that's in the back of the car already that you would use to change a tire, but some people may not want to sit there and try to crank that up. So to do this, right here's your oil pan, and here is your oil drain bolt. So all we're going to do is we're going to get our ratchet and socket on there. We're going to loosen this up, and the oil is going to start to drain out. And we already have the cap from the top loosened, so we'll go ahead and just give a little crank down there. As you see, it starts to come loose. You can undo this by hand. You can just sort of let that fall in if you want, but pull it off to the side. If you're afraid to get a little bit of oil on you, you could just spun it off to the side, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. But that's what they make paper towels for. So we're gonna go ahead and let that finish draining out real quick, or start to drain out, and then we will, once the majority of that's out, then I'm gonna go ahead and loosen our oil filter. Okay, now you can see the oil is pretty much just barely down to a little more than a trickle. We're gonna go ahead and remove that oil filter. So you're gonna want to reposition your drain there so that we can get this up on. Have this set up so that it's going to actually tighten up when we loosen. So here we go. Now it's on. Just a nice little easy solid motion. Nothing too strenuous at all. And then once it gets pretty loose, you'll feel a little give. And then you can definitely finish it off by hand. Just make sure your pan and your oil drain are all under there at the same, so they can both drain at the same time. That way you don't end up with a bunch of stuff on your floor. As you see, the filter's already starting to come down. That's probably the messiest one I've ever done, actually. But I keep my paper towel right there handy. Doesn't usually run all over the place quite that bad. Probably because I have it jacked up, and the oil that would normally be sitting in there goes to the back. But like I said, for the purpose of this video, I'm just doing it without jacking the front of the car up. But normally I would jack the car up and put it on jack stands and then have the oil running back. But it doesn't make any bit of a difference outside of just a little bit more of a reach underneath the car. All right, once we're satisfied with how much of the oil and stuff is already down, which is just a trickle in the back, very little up here, then we'll go ahead and get our other stuff ready to put on. Don't have to reach straight underneath the oil filter location if you don't want to get any oil on you, but you just sort of put this one back by hand. That way it's snug on there. And then I like to take a rag and wipe everything off that's just dripping around down there, just so I can get it cleaned up, and it reduces any kind of mess you might end up with on your floor whenever you go to put everything back on. I don't actually touch the threads or anything up on that. I just touch the exterior portion that would normally see dirt and everything else hitting it anyway. I just don't like to touch inside the up on the threads. Don't want to introduce anything to it that you don't have to. So once that's just sort of cleaned and there's no more drippies and you have your bolt in the back hand tightened, that should be good for right now. And come back out. Take, open up our oil. Pop that out. Yeah, like I said, just we're gonna take this. We're gonna put a little bit of oil. Right down in. And just get a little bit on the lip there, sort of like that. And then I take my finger and just, it's just one of those things that I was taught whenever I first started working on cars. So I've done it ever since. Not sure whether you want to call it right or wrong. Something I do. And then, drop the camera. And you can see up under here the bolt that sticks out, and that's what we'll be threading the oil filter onto. Let's see if I can get an angle where you can see everything or not. Just nice and easy, get that all snugged up on there. Get it pretty tight with your hand. Now some people do purely hand tighten with these things. I like to give it just a little bit more. Once again, personal preference. Some people find. And you can sort of move this out of the way now a little bit, now that you have the gotta rotate this around. We can I'm not really giving it like too much torque. I just got it sort of snug with the hand, and then now this is biting down. As you can see, that's why it's slipping, because I'm not really torquing on it too much. And there is a rated foot-pounds for this. I just go snug, and then I go until I just feel like it's tight enough. I will look up if you happen to have a torque wrench. You'll probably be able to figure that out yourself. You probably won't be watching this video if you have a torque wrench, to be honest. So for those of you that do not, just get it on there, get it at least hand tight, and then I like to go until it just feels snug. Feels like you actually have to put force on to like a little bit of actual effort into turning it, and then that's usually good enough for me. And you could always hop back under here after you drive it a little, you know, after you start it, you could check, make sure there's no leaks, and take it for a small drive down the road. And if you really want to, after it cools down, you can hop back under here, but make sure it cools down first. Then you can hop back under there and just make sure it still feels good if you're not confident that you snugged it up enough. And then, but usually once you get it on there, at least a good solid hand tight, and then a good half a turn more, you're okay. Now we also want to go ahead and finish tightening up our drain bolt back here. That way we don't get any leaks from that. Once again, there is a torque spec for that, and you can look up the torque spec if you want. But I like to get just snug, and then like you could just sort of feel whenever it's tight. And where if you start tightening it down more, you're really going to torque on it. You don't need to torque it. So just nice and snug, and maybe just a little bit of a turn more, and you'll just feel it get solid, and then that'll be enough. And then I'm going to go ahead and just remove all of my tools and paper from underneath here, because we are finished under here. And we'll come back up and we'll fill that up, and we'll pull out our oil dipstick to make sure we check our levels. It does call for roughly between 5 and 6 quarts. Start off with 5 quarts, and once it's there, then check your level, and then add more oil appropriately. Once you hit the bottom line on here where it says low, you're usually only 1 quart shy. So if you start adding a little bit more, I would only add maybe a quarter quart to half a quart at a time past the 5 quarts, just to make sure that you are not going to overfill it, because you definitely don't want to overfill this thing. And one of these big jugs, for those that are watching, this is 5 quarts, shows down there. And then on the side, these little marks over here, you can see how much oil is in this, and these markers here have the indicate how many quarts are left in it. So if it's completely unopened, you got 5, and then go from there. So whenever I go to fill up with the oil, I like to pull the dipstick up. Once again, that just leaves a little bit of air for the oil to displace when you're dumping the oil in. So it'll fill in a little bit quicker, and you won't have as many of the bubbles and stuff back pushing. So get your funnel in place. And another little trick, if you pour this up a little more off to the side, it doesn't want to drip down as much. Just like tilt the bottle more to the side instead of like this. This way it works now that you have it done. Have it down some. Like if you're like, especially the little quarts, if you're tilting it like this, for some reason it just wants to make a huge mess. But if you pour it more on the side, at least starting out with the smaller quarts, I don't know, it just makes a difference. It makes it easier to pour. Doesn't want to go all over the place. See how it goes down there real nice and quick, because we have the dipstick already loose, so that the oil can displace the air. Now we'll keep that handy. Give it a second to get down. Pull out our dipstick. Clean it off. Place it back down in the hole all the way. I like to just give it a little second, maybe a little turn in there. Lift. And then on there, you can see about how much oil is up on the thing. Looks like we're to a rate about here. So we're pretty full. I'm gonna only add maybe just a little tiny bit of oil to it, but not much more. Once you hit the next flat spot here, that's completely full. So I'm pretty happy with where we're at. We're only just a small shy, little bit. So I'll only end up adding just a tiny bit more, and call it good. And then once you're done, just pull your funnel out, put your cap back on, and you're all done. And then, like I was saying earlier, then you can brag to your wife you changed your oil, changed your engine filter and your engine air filter, and then your cabin air filter on the inside. You can probably save somewhere at least 300 bucks doing so. So get out there and buy those new tools, golf sets, whatever you want to spend your money on. And once again, if you did find this video entertaining, helpful, informative, anything, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. Hitting the thumbs up button definitely helps. Getting a few subscribers is my goal. I'd like to get a couple hundred, just so I can continue to entertain people and show people how to do things. Would be great. Thanks. Have a good one.